Okay, so we are continuing with the character setup and using the character in the character sheet here in Roll20. So one thing I didn't do last time is add character art. If you go to the journal and click on your character name, then click edit, you can add an avatar, and that'll also be used for your token unless you set up a separate token. To set up a separate token, a great tool is Token20, and that'll allow you to create a custom token that looks really good, and it's you can zoom in on the face so you get more detail. The DM actually has to set that up, but you can create it and just message it over to them or share that with them so that they can change your token to have separate character art from your avatar. So I just uploaded here. You click in this box and choose a file. And then you can also add your bio and info. And if your character is visible in everyone else's journal, it will show the avatar as well as the information that you put right in here. So this might be stuff that you're okay with everyone knowing about your character and your background, but stuff that you want to keep between you and the GM, this is not the place to put that. So we'll exit that. Now that I have character art, I'm going to take my character token off and then drop it back on so I can see. Alright, so now it's updated with my avatar. And again, making a custom token is going to look even better than that. It would look more like these tokens you see here. Alright, next up we're going to look at using the character sheet. Two quick ways to get there. You can click up here, or if you hold Alt and double click on your token, it will pop up here. So one of the first things that I like to do, because it comes up so often, is to set up an initiative macro. If you want to just use initiative, normally you don't have to use a macro, but you have to remember every time to click your token before you click initiative on your character sheet, which I find a little bit annoying. So it's easy to forget, and then when you forget, your initiative doesn't show up in the turn order like it should. So to me it's easier to just use a macro. And the way that you do that is go over to this menu section called collection, and you add a macro, and I'm going to paste the exact macro in chat, but I've already added it, it's right here. And then you click show as a token action. What that's going to do is when I click on my token, hey, my initiative pops in. Now for initiative I rolled 22.14. What does that mean? Well, the 0.14 is including my dex as a tiebreaker. In case several people roll the same thing, it uses the dex modifier as a tiebreaker to determine who goes first. Just speeds up gameplay a little bit by adding that automatically. So back to my character sheet. Remember, that's Alt double click and that opens up. So when you are in combat, obviously the first thing you need to do is roll initiative, which you can use either the macro or click the button right here. And then when you're actually fighting, of course you're going to want to use attacks. Now if I were a spellcaster, my attack spells would show up in here as well. Things like healing spells or other effect spells, buffs, debuffs would not show up, just my attacks. But I've got the ability right here to roll my attacks. See, I've got longsword as one-handed and two-handed. My character is wearing a shield, so I'm not going to use my longsword two-handed, which means I don't get a 1d10 plus 3, I just get a 1d8 plus 3. To roll your attack, just click on it, and it pops it right into the chat here. Now, you can set it up to automatically roll your damage, that's one of your game settings, but a lot of people just like to leave that separate so you can roll damage after you determine whether or not you hit. And to do that, just go into the chat and click on the name of that attack, and it'll show you your damage roll. Also, if you hover over the numbers, it shows you exactly how the roll was created. So I rolled a 1d20, and then it added my strength, and it added my proficiency to see if I hit, which means I rolled just a 5, and then added plus 3 and plus 2. To see my actual attack damage, it rolled a 1d8 plus 3 for my strength. So I rolled a 7 plus 3. It's a pretty good roll, except I didn't hit. Now, the reason you're seeing two numbers here is that I have this set up to always roll twice on attack rolls and some other rolls. The reason for that is there are a lot of things that affect having advantage or disadvantage. Happens often enough that instead of having to roll, wait and see what happens, and then roll again, we just automatically roll twice. So a normal roll, you take that first number on the left. If I had advantage, I'd take the higher of the two. If I had disadvantage, I'd take the lower of the two. So the fact that it's doing that automatically for me every time allows us to speed up gameplay just a little bit. If one of these rolls were a crit, either crit miss or crit fail, it would roll, well, crit miss wouldn't roll extra damage, but a crit hit would roll twice in here, and it would show me my first roll of, say, 7 plus 3, and then it would show that second roll, which is done without a modifier. So if I rolled another 5, for example, so it would show 7 plus 3 for my first roll of 10, and then a 5 with no modifier for an additional 5 equals 15, just for example. Another thing you'll be using often are saving throws. So spells and other things, so traps, things like that, where you have to roll a saving throw. Those are right here. Strength, Dex, Con, Wisdom are the most common. You might have Intelligence or Charisma. And then it's got my proficiencies and modifiers added in here. So again, that's going to roll twice in case I have advantage or disadvantage for all of those. If you have to make a check, not a save, but a check, like say I need to make an investigation check, those skills are all right here. Just click on the word and eventually it'll pop into chat, or if not, you click it twice and it'll, there we go. Alright, my investigation check right there. Or say I'm being fightery and using my athletics to grapple someone, roll my athletics check. Oh, finally got that second investigation roll. I think a lot of people have joined Roll20 lately, which is great, and it's added to the popularity, but it's also slowed a few things down. My hit points are going to be tracked right here, but in a real game I'd also have them set up to be tracked right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that now off screen, and you can see what that looks like. Give me just one moment as I edit that on the DM side. Okay, great. Now I can see my HP, a little HP bar, and this is my AC. So if I got hit for 3 damage, I would click on my token, click on my green HP bubble, and type in -3. It does the math for me automatically. I am a fighter, not that great at math, so that's handy. Or of course, I could just type in a number, and it would change it to that number. If I add and drop a shield, I can just change that right here for the +2 AC bonus that gives me. Alright, next thing we want to look at on the character sheet, and ordinarily I would hit this little button to pop it into a separate window so it's not blocking my view, but to share my screen with you that doesn't work, so I'm going to leave it here for the moment. Alright, abilities. For example, I've got Second Wind. On my turn, I can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus my fighter level, so that's a 1d10 plus 1. If I want to use that, pop it into chat so the DM knows what I'm doing. And then I've used up my Second Wind, so I drop that down to 0. Once I finish a short or long rest, I can put that back. And that's going to change as my fighter level goes up. Fighting style protection. Okay. When a creature I can see attacks a target other than me that's within 5 feet, I can use my reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll using my shield if I'm wearing it. If that happens, someone next to me gets attacked and it's from a creature I can see, I just pop that into chat so the DM knows, oh, I've imposed disadvantage on that creature's attack roll. And since the monster already rolled twice, the DM knows which roll to take. Real easy. Here's one that's not really going to come up in combat, but it might come up in roleplay. Hey, I'm trying to find a place to hide out. We're on the run. Hey, DM, just make note that that's something that I can do. Alright, the next thing, if we had it, would be spells. Spells are all going to be right here. You've got your cantrips, and then you've got each level. First level spells, second level spells, and it's a little confusing if you're not super familiar with magic users because your level as a spellcaster in whatever class, warlock or a sorcerer or whatever, does not exactly correspond to your spell levels. But If I were a caster, I'd have a few cantrips, I'd have some first level spells. It would show all those. Cantrips don't use spell slots, you can just use them over and over again. Spells that are leveled from level 1 to level 9 all have a number of slots, and this would show me, hey, I've got a maximum of, say, 3 spell slots, and of those I have 2 remaining because I've used one. Every time I use a spell here, it would normally subtract that automatically for me. Sometimes if it glitches, you might have to do that manually. And then of course on a short or long rest, if I get spell slots back, I can go ahead and update those here. There's also macros you can use that would add those in for you if you just click a button like I have here, or you can set it to show down here. That's something definitely worth looking into if you are going to be using abilities that recharge on short or long rests, just to help you remember to do those, and that way you know it's updated and you don't have to think the next session after it had been a while since your rest, what do I have left? Did I forget to recharge that? Did I recharge it and use it? Anyway, last couple things that we will talk about. Once you've got your character art, you've got a character name, if you go back to the chat and just change where it says as from your Roll20 username to your character name, and then you say something in chat, it's going to show your character saying it instead of your player icon. And if you want to do something in the third person, there's chat commands for that. There are a bunch of other chat commands you can use. There's whispers to either say something specifically to one other player and not show in the chat for other players, say something to the DM. There's even macros to do all of that for you. So that's handy. I like having my name here match my character. I also like in Discord to go on the voice server and go to the options and change my nickname on just that server to be the character nickname. That way it's really easy, especially as you're first getting to learn each other. If you're not all friends in real life, or you're not all familiar with each other's characters, you can see, okay, the Discord name of who's talking matches the name that's typing in here, matches the name that I see on my screen. So that's a good thing to do. Last thing that we'll talk about right now is leveling up. So Alt double click to open up my character sheet again, or of course I could go into my journal and open up my character sheet. I'm going to look over at this little gear icon all the way down, launch level plus Charactermancer. And we'll give Roll20 just a moment to do that. Okay, great. Welcome to Charactermancer Level Up. It's going to tell me some of the resources that are available to me. It's going to let me either roll my HP or take the average. At low levels, go average. Unlike most things in D&D where rounding is cut down instead of rounding up, the average is actually slightly beneficial to you. It's even though it's called the average, it's a little bit better than what you would roll on average. So at a low level, I'm just going to take the average. It tells me what class features I gain at this level. Next level, I'm going to get a subclass. So I'm not there yet, but that's good to know. And it would have features that it would tell me later on if that were applicable, which it is not. And after level 3, there might be other things that come up in the subclass at later levels, so it'll have class features and then subclass features. And here's some more info about the fighter, basically repeated from before, but if you look at, it tells me, okay, so next level I'm going to gain martial archetype, then I get an ability score improvement, then 5th level extra attack. That's the good stuff. Alright. 2nd level, I do get action surge, which is great. One of those nice fighter abilities that lets me do extra damage. Have to finish a short or long rest to use it again, so it's going to get added to my character sheet as something I can track. Okay, review. Not much to review at level 2, and apply changes. Okay, here, just like Second Wind, I've got action surge. So use that, drop it down because I only have one, and then when I do a short or long rest, put it back up. And it's going to work pretty much like that for each level. Level 3, again, is where you get a subclass. And so there are a couple more things to pick, a couple more things that'll get added, and then a few of the later levels will have even more. But that's pretty much how you level up. Fairly straightforward. And you can see that my HP on my token went up, corresponding with my HP on my character sheet. Wrong one. Alt double click. One final thing I'll talk about on character sheets, inspiration. If your DM gives you inspiration, you check here. You can't have more than one inspiration. When you use it, uncheck. Oh, I should talk about death saves. If you're in combat and you need to make death saves, you roll them right here. Alright, that's a success. I'll check a success. If I get to 3 successes before I get to 3 failures, then I'm stabilized. If I get to 3 failures before 3 successes, then I die. And then we get to start over with another character mancer, I guess. Alright, I think that's it for now. I'm going to put that macro in the video notes, and thanks for watching.